Joe Garagiola.
And I'm Gary Carter.
And we're your hosts for the Ultimate World Series.
The greatest games 1 through 7 in World Series history.
All in one classic series.
Up next, Game 1 of the Ultimate World Series.
Joe Garagiola.
And I'm Gary Carter.
And we're your hosts for the Ultimate World Series.
The greatest games 1 through 7 in World Series history.
All in one classic series.
Up next, Game 1 of the Ultimate World Series. It's the first game of the 1988 World Series between the Oakland A's and the Los Angeles Dodgers.
And it features one of the most dramatic home runs in World Series history. Kirk Gibson's 2-out, bottom of the ninth, game-winning blast. Kirk Gibson was here at Victory Yard to relive that game with Dick Schapp. But first, let's go to Bob Costas, Vin Scully. I was even there for the pregame.
Dodger Stadium filling up before Game 1 of the 1988 World Series. Hi, everybody. Bob Costas along with Marv Albert. First item of business, Kirk Gibson will not play for the Dodgers. Bothered by the right knee and the left hamstring, the knee more so. But in any case, he won't even be introduced tonight. We assume that means he's not available for so much as pinch hitting duty. Mickey Hatcher moves from first base to left field. Franklin Stubbs will start at first. Kirk Gibson out for the Dodgers.
Well, if David slew Goliath, which was the atmosphere here when the Dodgers beat the Mets, they're going to have to do it again without Kirk Gibson.
And the Oakland A's, it's a tough thing to do against them without Gibson. Here's the Oakland A's. They have about 5 guys in the lineup that they call impact players. One swing of the bat, they can win a game for you. Canseco and McGuire and Lansford and Parker and Baylor. And here's Lasorda, can hardly have enough guys to field a lineup.
It's hard to think of you being identified as David against any Goliath, but that's what it was in this ballgame. The experts were unanimous. You weren't going to play. Did you think you were going to get to see some action?
I was trying to create a vision in my mind that I would be available to pinch hit if I had to in the bottom of the 9th inning, and sure enough, look what happened.
But you actually had the bottom of the 9th in mind. I mean, you weren't just trying to sell your book later. You knew the bottom of the 9th.
Well, I knew that I couldn't play, you know, for any period of time, and actually, I don't think I wanted to run more than one base. Actually, it was just one of those deals where it was a last-ditch desperation effort. I wanted to be the guy, and that was the situation.
That's in a way that's how you got hurt. You wanted to be the guy too against the Mets. You guys weren't supposed to beat the Mets, and you knocked yourself out as usual.
Well, not as usual, but I just believe, I always used to tell my managers, look, Sparky Anderson used to tell me, you've got to take it easy. You're going to kill yourself. I say, look, if I break, you'll fix me. And that's just the approach that I always took. I could never go half speed.
Did you say anything to your teammates before the opening game there against Oakland?
Not really. I was just very disappointed that I wasn't going to be there to be able to play for a world championship. And it was all in their hands, and it didn't look good, but we found out that we did it.
Let's go to the game now, and let's join Joe Garagiola and Vin Scully at Dodger Stadium for Game 1 of the 1988 World Series. We pick it up in the top of the first inning. Tim Belcher struck out leadoff hitter Carney Lansford and now faces Dave Henderson.
The Tommy Lasorda got a jolt earlier with Gibson sideline. Starts off in the right direction as Lansford strikes out. And here is Dave Henderson.
Another first ball hitter.
Fouled away, 0-1.
I think you can look at that Oakland bat rack, Vin, and see those bats moving. These guys don't like the base on balls.
Oh. One of the things about the A's, they are physically intimidating. When they come out on the field, you think maybe the Chicago Bears have arrived. 0-1.
You just saw a shot of La Russa. He is still wearing, as we look at Canseco, La Russa is still wearing the same hat that he started this season with. He wants to put 108 victories on that hat and put it on his mantelpiece.
Big chopper up the middle, and that'll be the base hit into center. So Dave Henderson collects the first hit of the day. And now the big man. All eyes on Jose Canseco.
Canseco is a better low ball hitter. And you talk about strength. He hit one completely out of this ballpark yesterday in batting practice over the left field fence. They projected 560 feet on that ball.
He is very much of a low ball hitter, and you see his home runs. He hit 16 of them with 2 strikes. The plan, of course, ideally would be to jam him, but you can't do anything consistently against a good hitter. And he came in on the hand. That's where they'd like to go, but they can't live in there throughout, or he'll hurt you.
He'll adjust to that, and you look at him and his swing, the bat speed is just unbelievable. He's got explosive strength is what he calls it, and Dave Parker really has an expression for it.
0-1. In on the hands again. That's where they're going to live, and it might have gotten that hand. Let's see, he's going to be awarded first base.
They were going to pitch him tight, and here comes Lasorda now. He wants to argue it. This is the toughest call for an umpire. Hit the bat first or the hand. It's always one of those things you call right now, and that's it.
What Tommy said is the ball hit the bat. That's why the ball went all the way back to the screen. See how he's gesturing to the screen.
But I'm sure I've heard this argument a million times. Harvey's saying it did hit the bat, but it hit his hand first, and how are you going to prove that? Look at those arms.
Left fielder, Dave Parker.
Now from another angle.
Looking again, from there, I think it got him. I would say hit by pitch.
Right, and it appeared on the arm more than the hand. So first and second. And the batter now is Dave Parker, who of course came here when he was a standout player for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
There's another guy you got to pitch inside. You can't let him get that big arms out.
Fouled away. 0-1. One thing, when Parker was in the National League, you never threw any off-speed pitches to him. Ideally, you just try to jam him constantly. And as he's gotten a little older, he's 37 years old, I think they feel he doesn't turn on the fastball quite as quickly as he did in the past.
He'll chase the curveball down too, Vin, but if you're going to throw that fastball, you better get it in.
1 ball and 1 strike. And that's going to be hit down the line, foul and out of play, and the count 1-2.
That was the perfect pitch right there on Parker. Pound him up and in. He can be jammed with even an average fastball. He likes that low fastball, and don't throw him the slow stuff. And his arm is no longer a threat. Pretty well says it all.
Throughout his career, he has always been more dangerous a hitter with runners on base. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Away, 2-2. It is a bright, shiny, early evening or late afternoon, as you wish. The lights are on, but we have sunshine splashed on the hillsides and on the scoreboard, and blue skies overhead. 2-2. And that's hit in the air to Shelby, and the runners will hold. That's another thing to keep in mind, particularly here at Dodger Stadium. This is probably the toughest ballpark, certainly in the National League. If you're playing the outfield, if our center field camera took a shot in, it's like looking into a wedding cake. You don't just have an upper deck and a lower deck here. Among other things, you have dugout seats behind home, and you can see the multi-tiered, and then the bright sky, and then the light towers. Fouled away by Mark McGuire, who went to school down here at USC and even played at Dodger Stadium as a member of the U.S. Olympic team in 1984.
McGuire's a dead low ball hitter. He's more upright, and he's had to adjust because he got a lot of those let's get the first fastball over pitch last year for hitter for home runs.
And he hits 1 foul and out of play. And Mark now in a hole, 0-2. Interestingly, he changed a bit. Last year, he hit 21 home runs at home. This year, of the 32 home runs that he hit 12 at home.
He's got 7 3-run homers and 1 grand slam this year.
Boy, it is gum-chewing time in the first inning. Henderson and Canseco aboard. 2 out. Kind of a showcase pitch in the count, 1-2. joined us a little late. Dave Henderson bounced one up the middle with one out for a base hit. Canseco hit by a pitch. Parker made the second out. And Belcher working on McGuire. 2-2.
They're trying to climb the ladder with him. McGuire's the kind of a guy who'll chase that high fastball, even the bad breaking ball. Belcher doesn't have that big curveball, but he's also, McGuire is, in that two-strike approach to hitting where they just want to put the ball in play.
2-2. So now he gives the A's the base running advantage. Henderson and Canseco ready to go on a full count with 2 down.
They have a two-strike approach to hitting taught by Lefevre, and Watson just put the ball in play. And these big guys don't need a full swing to hit one out.
24 pitches for Belcher, so he's working hard in the first inning. Runners go, and it's foul back.
Tough pitch to lay off in that high fastball, and it just climbing. That might have been out of the strike zone, but when you got 2 strike zone, you can't be that picky.
So Mark McGuire, who was born in nearby Pomona, and he'll be followed in the lineup by Terry Steinbach. Henderson and Canseco at the ready on a full count, 2 down. No score. We're just starting. Runners go. And it is ball 4 to load him up.
Tell you, Belcher's not changed speeds. He's throwing just a couple split fingers, and it's just going to be a matter of time if he keeps his pitching pattern up, because you can't keep throwing that hard and expect these hitters not to adjust.
Well, here's another high fastball hitter, and it would be Terry Steinbach. You'd like to get him out with a breaking ball, but we haven't seen one from Belcher. And there's a little splitter, and he missed with it, ball 1.
And right now, Steinbach's got to be saying, here comes the fastball. I'm going to be ready and maybe start a little bit early with that bat.
Steinbach hitting a home run off Dwight Gooden in the All-Star game. And Belcher is struggling now. 2 balls and no strikes. No one throwing in the Dodger bullpen, but Belcher throwing mostly fastballs, and he's in trouble. 2-0 the count to Terry Steinbach. And it's a high fly ball to left center. It's playable. Shelby is there. And the A's lead 3. And at the end of half an inning, A's nothing. Dodgers coming up.
We'll be right back with more of Game 1 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports. Legends of the Fall is brought to you by Priority Mail from the U.S. Postal Service.
If I ran the post office, there'd be a way to send paperwork and merchandise overseas that gets attention. Something that says, open me. I'm important. But it's got to save money, real money, and go to all my key markets. Plus, it would have value, be reliable, and fast.
Global Priority Mail. It's happening at your U.S. Postal Service. We deliver.
This is NASCAR 98. I'm in a groove with new scuffs. Talk fast.
Hey, who's the best driver?
Wins Gordon. Consistency, Labonte. Cups, Earnhardt. All-time, the king, Richard the 43rd.
What's the toughest track?
Bristol's a blender. Gonna hang Rouse at the Glen, but Darlington's too tough to tame.
Are fans that loyal to their driver's sponsor?
Nate.
What?
1-888 My House. I'm bumping and grinding on my way to see the Hat Man. NASCAR 98, the ultimate judge. EA Sports. It's in the game.
Whoa! Just a second. Whoa! You got the wrong guy. Whoa! Oh, boy, you're tall. Can I get you a beer? Oh, it's Sam Adams.
There are times when only a perfect glass of beer will do.
That's a good one, Grim.
Sam Adams, a better glass of beer.
It's time for Bernie Williams to get into the batter's box and face a rock-hard ball coming at him from just 60 feet 6 inches away. Battling sinkers, sliders, curves, knucklers, changeups, forkballs, fastballs, and the occasional brushback. But Bernie doesn't sweat it. hey, he's got a whole tenth of a second to react.
You're watching the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
The Oakland A's come up empty in the top of the first inning, stranding 3, and now their 21-game winner, Dave Stewart, who toiled here for the Dodgers. But as he said earlier, I'm a different pitcher. I throw a fork ball now, and he'll pitch to Steve Sachs, Franklin Stubbs, and then Mickey Hatcher, a Dodger lineup without Kirk Gibson.
That fork ball is really a pitch with two names. If he throws it hard, it's a split finger fastball, and if he takes a little bit off, use it for a changeup, then it's a fork ball.
And it hit Sachs on the helmet. And immediately a hit batter. We're watching Doug Harvey slowly walk out to the mound.
He's telling him now, that's enough of this, because Canseco got hit with the pitch. I'm not going to go, and it's the first pitch of the ball game.
That's as early as I've ever seen a warning.
That's what he's doing.
Number 22.
Doug Harvey warned him. Canseco got hit, and the first pitch, Sachs gets it.
And Sachs is usually pretty good at getting out of the way of it. He's only been hit once during the year, but he got hammered there. 0-1.
I'll tell you, Vin, the Baylor-Howell feud was kind of manufactured, and I hope we get a chance to get into it. But this is pretty serious what we're seeing here. This is a message sent by the A's to the Dodgers after Canseco got hit, and now you see some emotion at first base. Sachs wants to run.
No balls and 1 strike to count. And Stubbs, a shot foul ball. In fact, had it been fair, McGuire might have gotten his glove on it. It was that close.
It might have gone through that glove too, as hard as that ball was hit. He really got around on that pitch, and Durwood Merrill, watch the effort by McGuire, who's guarding the line. He almost gets that one and almost gets the umpire, so that's how hard that ball was hit. And look at Merrill.
Sachs bluffs, and it's lifted to center. Good pitch by Stewart. He had Stubbs hitting on his front foot because he took a lot off it. That was a 20-game winner's pitch. Mickey Hatcher, a contact hitter, and the Dodgers could put a play on here. A strike. And time, they called a balk by the third base umpire, Darrell Cousins of the American League.
Now Steinbach's got to go out there and kind of settle him down, because you work so hard to keep the runner at first and pick up an out, and you really give him a gift certificate.
By the way, Stewart had to come in here with quite a reputation. He committed 16 balks during the regular year, plus 14 wild pitches. So everybody conscious of his move.
You could see he did not stop at all, and it was the third base umpire Cousins. When it's got in the glove, he just kept it going.
Now back. So now you really have the battle within the fight, with a runner at second, 1 out in the first inning, no score, and a contact hitter at the plate in Hatcher. Waiting his turn on deck, the Dodger RBI leader, Mike Marshall. 0-1. Fastball hit into left field and deep. Back goes Parker, way back. It is gone. Unsettled Stewart, but Hatcher hit 1 home run all year.
I think Hatcher is symbolic of this team, playing first base, playing left field. In fact, that home run, he hasn't hit that many. He doesn't even know how to run out a home run. He ran in like they thought they were going to take it off the scoreboard. He really circled those bases in a hurry.
No balls, 1 strike to Marshall. Good pitch, little splitter, and the bottom dropped out of it. 0-2.
He's looking for the fastball, and he really gets into it. And look at him take off. Now, Dave Parker once hit a home run in Pittsburgh, took 26 seconds to go around the bases, and look at Hatcher.
He's the only guy in baseball who should wear his cap with the peak at the side, right angles to his head. If ever there was a guy who should be called Skippy, it's Hatcher.
I tell you, he's look at him. He is so, he's a Saturday Evening Post cover is what he is, you know. Look at him.
1-2 to Marshall. Fouled away, off to the right, out of play. Tommy Lasorda, as usual, keeping his emotions very quiet so that no one would know that anything good happened for his team.
Can't ever tell what Tommy's feeling.
No. 1-2. Got him, and another good pitch. That's the second really good pitch. The one he made to Stubbs, the one he made to Marshall. He probably figures the one he made to Hatcher was a bad one. Of course, you know, a lot of us are inclined to say, yeah, he hit a home run, he hit a bad pitch, but they happen to be big league hitters.
They are. That was about, well, that was the one to Marshall. It took something off of it. But when you talk about a guy hit a home run like Hatcher, the ball was up a little bit, but they are big league hitters. You make a mistake, they're going to hit it.
1-0 the count of John Shelby. There you go, Mickey. Take that to the bank.
And how close he came to getting another World Series. Minnesota, he just missed.
Little roller up along first. Mark McGuire is there. Big guy takes it to the bag. Pretty close as Shelby motored down the line. But the Dodgers get 2 runs on Hatcher's home run at the end of an inning. The Dodgers 2, the A's nothing.
You're watching Game 1 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
Classic Sports Network, the greatest new network in the history of sports.
NHL 98 asking who melts ice. Take a shot.
Line 4. Puree, the Rocket Man.
Yeah, he's off the eye chart. Show him the bye-bye stride. Ta-ta, Mr. Autobahn. Line 3.
How about that Zamboni guy, eh? He's pretty good, eh?
No. A. Mike from Sin City.
Beezer is a blur.
Splits, hit splits. Nobody rides for free. Oh, at 10 from the Russian judge. 1-888-MY-HOUSE. Talking who's who of Mach 2 and dropping off D. NHL 98, the ultimate judge. EA Sports. It's in the game.
Used cars to be sold as low as $88. That's right, the giant slash and sales event is coming to you at Elmore Toyota. Choose from a huge selection of used cars, trucks, minivans, and sport utility vehicles. Prices slash thousands from original Blue Book. No hassle, just the best price up front before you decide. Be there when the gates open. Get behind the wheel of the car of your choice, and we'll slash the price to the absolute bottom line. The slash and sale is for 3 days only. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, October 17th, 18th, and 19th at Elmore Toyota in Westminster. Be there!
Split Rock Lighthouse has long been a symbol of comfort in treacherous waters. The same is true at Split Rock Tavern, offering comfort and refuge in an unreliable world. Relax and unwind at the bar, offering 16 draft beers and a tasty menu. Enjoy a hearty lunch or dinner from Split Rock Tavern's delicious menu, featuring juicy steaks, tender chicken, or fresh seafood. Reserve our private room for intimate parties or special occasions. At El Toro and Paseo de Valencia, come try Split Rock Tavern, your refuge for great dining and good times.
What are people saying about Classic Sports Network? 3 words. It's about time.
4, 3, 2, Michael fires. Yeah!
It's about the time Hank broke the Babes record.
It's gone! It's 7:15!
Or the time Mary Lou was perfect. Classic Sports Network, the only network that brings you the greatest sports stories and personalities of all time, all the time.
We now return to Game 1 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
The theme song for the first game of the 1988 World Series. Jose Canseco hit on the right arm by a pitch. Bottom of the first, Steve Sachs hit on the high shoulder on the left side by a pitch. Here's Sachs.
This is an answer is what this is. Now, whether the first pitch to Canseco was a message, it didn't make any difference. He's the big star, and Dodger pitchers answered it.
Glenn Hubbard at the plate. And all you have to do is look at Hubbard and his helmet, and you can see the left side of the face protected, to realize how dangerous it is to pitch high and inside, and particularly at this hour of the day. 1-1. That's in there. Tony La Russa, whose ball club dismantled the American League as early as April. Lasorda's club took over the end of May. Fouled away. 1-2.
When Belcher was taking his warm-up pitches between innings, Rick Dempsey was out there warming him up, and it wasn't just by accident, because he's kind of like his godfather, and he was pointing to his shoulder, his left shoulder, as if to say, you're opening up too soon. And he was really making him bear down while he was warming up between innings.
And that's probably hammered into left field for a base hit. By the way, in talking about Hubbard, you do have to salute his courage. He suffered multiple fractures around the left eye when he was hit in the face by a pitch during spring training. That's why he wears that protective gear. And you can imagine, after seeing Canseco and Sachs hit, the thoughts that went through Hubbard's mind, but he's a tough guy and promptly hangs in and singles to left.
It's a 2-0 ball game, but you got a fella in that batter's box now can handle a bat, a contact hitter. They shorten up on him. La Russa, if he does play hit and run, this is the kind of guy he'll play it with.
He likes to bunt from either side of the plate as well as he takes the strike, and he'll either push or drag a bunt, though he has to keep the corners tight on him. Nobody out.
You see Socia taking a look at that bench. He gets his pitch outs called from the bench.
Interesting thing too, now he's a switch hitter. I guess you could say, if you had to generalize, the left-hand batter likes it low, right-hand hitter likes it high, but he's a switch hitter who likes it high from both sides of the plate.
Yeah, that's it. It is an oddity. Left-handed low ball hitter is a rule of thumb, and this guy both ways high.
1-1 on the corner.
Mike really helped that call. You could see the way he caught that ball with that glove, just kind of not up or down, just kind of sideways, and moved it in.
Walt Weiss had a wonderful year. He is certainly the A's candidate for the club's 3rd consecutive American League Rookie of the Year. 2-2. He's from New York. At one stage this year, he had a string of 58 straight errorless games. Interesting, too, about the life of a ball player. When you examine Walt Weiss, you want to talk about ups and downs and an anniversary. 2-2. Fouled away. In 1987, Walt Weiss made his debut in a game just before the All-Star game. He went in as a pinch runner, and he was picked off. 1 year later, the game before the All-Star of 1988, he hit a grand slam home run. All of that in one short year.
I think when he hit the first home run of his career, that was the ultimate put down.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Walt. Pop foul off to the left and out of play.
Just to finish that story, the ultimate put down, because he hit the home run. A woman came up with the ball. She sent it back into the Oakland clubhouse to get it autographed by Mark McGwire. You hit a home run, and look at that.
Well, there's a quote of Walt's. A lot of people said we couldn't win this because we had a rookie. I guess they were wrong. You bet they were wrong. What a year he had. Walt Weiss at a Tuxedo, New York, Suffern High School and the University of North Carolina. It's 2-0 Dodgers, top of the 2nd. Glenn Hubbard, who drove the Dodgers crazy when he was with Atlanta, at first base, 1 for 1 in the series. In there, and the bottom dropped out of that pitch. That's the best pitch that Belcher has made tonight.
He's been thrown at 90, 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and that one was an off-speed pitch. See what it does here.
Number 34, the pitcher.
That looked like a splitter. You can see that. That sure was. When you see that thing break like that, that's what it was. You can see it. There you see his hand. That was a perfect shot. More like a fork ball, because it wasn't that real hard diving where it really chomps into your bat.
The hard one you see is if Tim Leary is pitching. Now with 1 down, here is Dave Stewart, and he has a great memory. because we were kidding him about swinging the bat, and he said, there's one thing he'll never be able to take away from me. I once hit a 3-run triple against Mario Soto of the Cincinnati Reds, and don't you think he's never forgotten that? 0-1 to Dave.
He's about 2-3 minutes late on that first fastball that Belcher threw.
Hubbard stole 1 base during the regular year, and with a pitcher up there, he doesn't figure to move. Strike 2, 0-2.
Tell you what that tells you, Vin, right there, though, that Belcher doesn't have much of a breaking ball now. He's got that great fastball. He's throwing. Here's a pitcher who, if he saw a curveball, wouldn't know what to do with it. Probably couldn't identify it, yet he's going 2 fastballs. I would say he's going to go out and get him right now. Let's see what the pitch is. I'd stay with the fastball because it's so good.
What would have been so bad about asking him to bunt?
Nothing.
0-2. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Those who knew him then and know him now say that the biggest difference with Dave Stewart is confidence. Maybe one reason because he's home. 2-2 the count.
See, that to me is bad pitching. You got 2 strikes. Why are you nibbling? Go right out. Step on his Adam's apple. Get him out there and get the troops in and score some more runs.
And especially an American League pitcher who doesn't bat.
That's right. He hasn't, I mean, counting high school, he's probably had maybe 15 bats.
2-2.
Why work on him? Right down the middle with something on it.
And he got a piece of it.
We have a scouting report we're going to be showing you, and what we've done, we've asked one big league manager, and obviously have to remain nameless. We've talked to scouts, and we will compile this. And I tell you, it's pretty good. It is very good, in fact. A little self-serving, but the manager who gave it to us gave us so much detail. It would be, we'd need like a cereal to get it all in.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Dave Stewart. Now he goes 3-2. Now remember, Belcher made 28 pitches in the first inning. Lasorda, muttering to himself, saw him hit a batter, walk 1, give up a base hit.
You don't know what that does to your club when you got the pitcher up there you think it hit, and they go to 3-2. It really lowers everything.
You know the height of confidence?
What?
With 1 out and Stewart hitting, turn Hubbard loose. That would really be saying something.
Well, the shock value would be worth something.
3-2 to Dave. And he walked him.
That's bad pitching.
Well, you're not going to be around too long pitching the way Tim Belcher is pitching.
We'll be right back with more of Game 1 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports. This Classic Sports Network presentation is brought to you by Where Have You Gone, Joe DiMaggio on HBO Monday, October 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific.
The grace.
Oh my God, watching him is graceful. Everything he did was easy for him.
The glamour.
There was a matinee idol quality to him that you usually associate with the film business.
The all-American hero.
You're looking for a hero, something to believe in. That's what Joe was.
From reluctant star to reclusive legend.
He lived for baseball.
For those who saw him play, it will always be summer. Where Have You Gone, Joe DiMaggio? Premieres Monday, October 20th on HBO.
Critics are starting to speak of the devil.
It's my time now. We will win.
A sexy and scary surprise.
Want to go upstairs and now?
Oscar-caliber performances from Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino.
We're coming out! Guns blazing!
Keanu Reeves.
You blind me!
Al Pacino. A devilishly good time. The Devil's Advocate, rated R. Now playing at a theater near you.
When we created NHL Face-Off 98, we wanted everything to be exactly like it is in the NHL, even the sound effects.
Okay, that's all right, first time. All right, Leclerc, come on. What, are you a figure skater now? Weak. If it's easier, I could probably call my little sister. Well, let's see what you're made out of, John.
How's that?
Yeah, we got that.
PlayStation. Being a catcher's no walk in the park. Take Mike Piazza. This guy's a human target for a flamethrower who can reach speeds up to 100 miles an hour. Even foul tips to the mask go with the territory. And he's got to call pitches, handle pickoffs, pitch outs, and pop-ups. Not to mention human freight trains hurtling toward him. Spikes first. Try telling Mike Piazza baseball isn't a contact sport.
You're watching the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
Belcher is angry at himself, and you have a hit-and-run man who also bunts fairly well at the plate in Carney Lansford. It's 2-0 Dodgers, second inning. Ball one.
He's a first pitch fastball hitter. They got to try to crowd him. He can hit with some high pitch with some power. And I tell you, you don't give that good curveball in the strike zone, he'll hit that. But Belcher does not have that good a breaking ball.
Fastball, and he was late getting around on it. 1-1. The reason I think that ball was in the spot they want to work on Lansford, they got the ball down on Carney.
But I tell you, when you go around the second time and you see nothing but fastballs, you can crank up that bat a notch too. First 9 batters, he made 47 pitches. Belcher did.
1 ball and 1 strike. 2 on, 1 out, and that's behind him. What a tough spot. And thank goodness that Lansford did not instinctively back away, or he would have backed into it.
That's just complete wildness. There was nothing there. He overthrew that ball, and that is really dangerous because instinctively you back up, and that's how you get beaten. He just was thrown so hard he didn't know what to do. And Scioscia makes a good play in keeping that ball from getting by him.
You know, one thing we really should remember is that's a rookie pitching in the first game of the World Series.
He just overthrew that ball, and you could see, I mean, that was complete fear on Carney Lansford's face, and I don't blame him.
2-1. And he throws a breaking ball, a slider away, and now he's really in trouble, and the telephone is ringing in the Dodger bullpen.
He has to vent because he's got nothing going but a fastball, and of course it's a 90-mile-an-hour fastball as we look at Larry, but here's a fastball pitcher against a fastball hitter, and you know he's got the hit sign.
3-1 to count. Fastball. As a catcher, there's not very much you can do. You can set a target and then just hope.
That's about it. What you want to do is light candles in a spot like this because you're not thinking. You just hope that he throws it hard enough to get it by him. You have no pitches to work on. Now La Russa is telling the runners what he wants have done by them. Stewart's got to watch Hubbard. For me, I'd hold it.
3-2, 1 out, second inning, 2-0 Dodgers. Hubbard and Stewart out on the lines. And he's walked in to load the bases again.
He got out of it very fortunate in that first inning because Steinbach had a pitch to hit and he just didn't hit it. And now you got Henderson coming up who hit a breaking ball, bounced it up the middle, but Belcher has not had anything but a fastball.
So Dave Henderson coming up with the bases loaded. Hubbard at third, Stewart at second, Lansford at first. 1 out, second inning, and the Dodgers leading 2-0. And Leary throwing back of Belcher.
And Henderson will be looking for his favorite pitch, a fastball.
And it was a hard slider away, ball 1. And they'd best call time because Scioscia's going to have to go out there and really give him a quick lesson.
Vin, if you were the hitter now, what you'd say is, look, he's getting nothing over but the fastball, and if he throws a slider and it's in the strike zone, I take it because it's got to be strength against strength, and look what you're looking at on deck.
Mount Everest.
Parker said that Stargell had a quick bat, but never has he seen a quick bat like this in strength. He said they only make one model, and they call it a Conseco.
1-0. Fastball fouled away, and the count 1-1. The Oakland A's. First team to sweep in a best-of-7 league championship series as they polished off Boston, and they have spotted the Dodgers 2 here in the early going.
A lot of room in right center.
1-1. Off speed, and he missed. 2-1.
There you see the defense are shading just a tad to pull in center field, and they have to be deep with Henderson. Once again, the 2 breaking pitches missed. Got the strike with the fastball.
Belcher trying to defuse a bomb here in the second. Fastball low, and now he's right on the edge, I'm sure, coming out.
Right now he's got to throw the pitch that got him here, which was the fastball as we look at Hubbard and Stewart and Lansford, and you got a fastball hitter against a fastball pitcher. Look out.
3-1. And that's in there. 3-2.
Oh, but he spotted well on the outside part of the plate.
Henderson struck out about twice as many times as he walked. Very much an offensive hitter. He had a big year. 3-2. Swung on and missed.
He just reared back and popped that one right by him. He knew it was coming. He got it and couldn't hit it.
Jim Belcher is not or has not been a great strikeout pitcher. His high this year 8, and he did that 3 times. He has already rung up 3, and now with 2 down, the biggest confrontation of the night. The bases loaded, and Jose Canseco.
5 of the first 11 batters, he's at a 3-2 count. You talk about living dangerously.
1 ball and no strikes. Hubbard at third, Stewart at second, Lansford at first. Canseco hit by a pitch in the first inning. This is a ball club. The Oakland A's scored over 800 runs this year. And there's a drive to center. Back goes Shelby to the wall. It is gone. Grand slam home run for Jose Canseco.
And look where he hit it. Over the center field fence, a line drive. It didn't get up, it didn't get down, it just got out. We talked about it. They have about 5 guys on that lineup with 1 swing can turn the game around, and you just saw it here.
Jose Canseco makes Tommy Lasorda sit quietly, and that's quite a trick. It took a grand slam home run to do it, and did he ever smoke it? The forearm bash, and it is 4-2 Oakland here in the second inning, and this big crowd suddenly stunned as Dave Parker checks in. Ball 1. Belcher, by the way, is due to bat 4th in the second inning if he can get that far.
You could see Canseco pointing that it was a line drive. I've never seen a ball. I mean, it didn't get up or down. Then it just went straight out.
2 iron. That's Bobby Welch coming over. 2-0 the count. That's on the hands. Fisted foul off third, and it'll go out of play.
Look at those arms with the speed. And you see that little hitch that he's got. He knows it's gone. He's going to watch it all the way. There's no park in America that could hold that one. He knew it.
2-1 to Parker. Ball 3. So if the Dodgers had any momentum at all on Hatcher's 2-run home run in the first inning, that shot that hit the camera gives you the picture. Oakland 4, Dodgers 2. High twisting foul off third down the line. Hamilton trying to get under it, but it's back into the seats.
When you look at Canseco's swing and you see that hitch, that loop that he's got, you really have to be strong. You have to be quick, and he's all of that. He's a tremendous athlete. In fact, McGuire, who hits a lot of home runs himself, says, I'm not a home run hitter. Canseco is. And I tell you, when you hit balls like he hits, and when he goes in the batter's box or in the cage for practice, everybody stops to watch.
And he is something,
isn't he?
3-2, and it is ball 4, and Belcher's troubles continue.
Tommy would like to make a pinch hitting move and hope he gets him out of out of this inning, but I don't know if he can stay much longer.
To repeat, with Leary and Ricky Horton, the left-hander, in the bullpen, Belcher is due to bat 4th in the bottom of the second inning. But it's a question of whether he can get that far. Bob Watson, the hitting coach, talking to Canseco, a student who got the message.
I'll tell you, before the game, they have a tee and they hit into a net. When he hits it, it sounds like 4th of July.
0-1 to Mark McGuire, who walked in the first inning. Four runs, 3 hits for Oakland, 2 runs, 1 hit for the Dodgers, and we're just starting. It's been quite a series already when you think about it. You had the Baylor and the Howell. You have Gibson unable to play. Then you have 2 hit batters and Doug Harvey warning both managers. And then you have a home run by Hatcher and a grand slam home run by Canseco, and the chairs aren't warm. 0-2. started to go after it, just did hold back. 1-2. A check with Durwood Merrill of the American League at first. No swing.
That's the pitch they think he'll chase, but he's got that two-strike approach to hitting right there. He just wants to put it in play.
1-2. Check swing on a roller to Griffin. Alfredo the short way to Sachs, but the damage is done, and the Savage is named Canseco. 4-2 Oakland.
Look at those arms with the speed. And you see that little hitch that he's got. He knows it's gone. He's going to watch it all the way. There's no park in America that could hold that one.
Well, we're back at Victory Yard. How do you like that? Now, although the Dodgers jumped out to an early lead, the A's came right back in their next at bat, getting 4 runs on one swing of the bat. Gary, when he hit that ball, he knew it was gone. He had to watch it. That's almost like where it started, don't you think?
Well, a little bit, but I think it might have been back when Reggie Jackson hit those 3 home runs in Game 6 and stood there and watched number 3 off of Charlie Huff. So it might have started back then. But this home run by Canseco, I mean, it was a blast. It dented the center field camera. And as soon as he hit it, you could see the way he was watching it that he knew it was gone.
Well, he autographed the camera for the guy. I remember that. Yeah. And the guy wanted the camera to see if he could sell it to a collector. Remember, being a collector, make some money. Hey, but it wasn't just Canseco. They had a guy named Mark McGwire back-to-back. That had to be a little tough as a catcher to call the right pitch.
I think they were, most pitchers were in awe of watching both of those guys come to the plate. Canseco had 42 home runs that year. McGwire had 32. So I think that they were pretty intimidating factors when they came to the plate.
Yeah, a lot of backaches when they knew they were going to pitch against those guys from pitchers, huh? After Canseco's home run, the A's had to be feeling pretty confident. They were up by 2, and their best pitcher, Dave Stewart, was still going strong. Now, when we come back, we'll hear more from Kirk Gibson and Dick Schapp.
You're watching Classic Sports Network.
Critics are starting to speak of the devil.
It's my time now. We will win.
A sexy and scary surprise.
Want to go upstairs and now?
Oscar-caliber performances from Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino.
We're coming out! Guns blazing!
Keanu Reeves.
You blind me!
Al Pacino. A devilishly good time. The Devil's Advocate, rated R. Now playing at a theater near you.
Used cars to be sold as low as $88. That's right, the giant slash and sales event is coming to you at Elmore Toyota. Choose from a huge selection of used cars, trucks, minivans, and sport utility vehicles. Prices slash thousands from original Blue Book. No hassle, just the best price up front before you decide. Be there when the gates open. Get behind the wheel of the car of your choice, and we'll slash the price to the absolute bottom line. The slash and sale is for 3 days only. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, October 17th, 18th, and 19th at Elmore Toyota in Westminster. Be there!
We're not slackers.
We are fighters.
We're not spoiled.
But we have many gifts.
We are not wild.
We're just crazy about life. We are not filled with hate.
We're filled with hope. We're not the problem.
We are the future.
We're not Generation X.
We are Generation Excellent.
Out of the shadows come 3 incredible motorcycles. Each one takes the look of a custom to a beautiful new place. The Honda Shadow Spirit 1100, the Shadow Ace Tourer, and the Shadow American Classic Edition. It's always cooler in the shadows.
$110 a month, 0 down payment. Honda Sports Center, Lake Forest.
Need a car? Auto Trader Magazines, where buyers buy and sellers sell.
They shine, they shimmer, and boy, can they shoot! Classic Sports Network presents 5 Beta Classics, the most exciting college basketball games in history with the biggest stars of the game. Jordan, Ewing,
Wilkins, Drexler. So if you want to see some stellar college hoop action, watch Phi Beta Classics, Saturday at 6 Eastern, only on Classic Sports.
Welcome again to Victory Yard and to Game 1 of the 1988 World Series. Jose Canseco's grand slam home run has put Oakland ahead early, ahead 4-2. This was a great team, this Oakland team. Were you watching the game in the clubhouse?
Oh, yeah, I was watching it, and it certainly wasn't what we wanted to see or what we wanted to get off to, kind of start we wanted to get off to, but there's a lot of game left. You understand that if you're a championship team, you realize if it's ever going to happen, good time to happen early in the game.
How impressed were you by that Oakland lineup?
Well, we were respectful of them.
And they look like a football team.
Yeah, but
Parker, Canseco,
right.
McGuire.
You respect them, but you also understand that you have to respect yourselves and your ability, and you have to realize that you got Oral Hershiser. That if we can get him to pitch 3 games, we can get 3 victories. So we knew that we had a good chance to win.
Hershiser had that great September with the 59 straight
That's right.
shutout innings. But he was pretty tired by World Series. I mean, he couldn't start this first game of the season.
Right. Well, it's just because of the rotation, the way it worked out in the playoffs. But I'm going to tell you, as a player, when Oral would go out there as a left fielder in the first inning, first couple innings, you could almost throw your glove on the ground and let him go to work.
That month, I mean, was he just unhittable that month?
He certainly was, and he just had great command, and he had such, he'd turn it over, he'd cut the ball, he had a great breaking ball. I mean, he just had it all working, and it'll be a record that I don't know will ever be broken, but they said that about Drysdale, too. But maybe somewhere, but it'll take a long time.
What did you do in the clubhouse besides watch the game?
I just sat there and watched the game, and they basically had me on contrast. I went from ice to heat, ice to heat, ice to heat, and suffered mentally because I couldn't be on the playing field.
In the bottom of the second inning, Danny Heap pinch hit for Tim Belcher, and he grounded out, and the Dodgers failed to score. Tim Leary took the mound for the Dodgers in the top of the third, and he turned the A's away. But the Dodgers still didn't score in the bottom of the third. We return now to Dodger Stadium. More of Game 1 of the 1988 World Series. Dodger Stadium, the A's are up, top of the fourth. They lead the Dodgers 4-2.
We go to the 4th inning. Dave Henderson, Jose Canseco, and Dave Parker. 4-2 Oakland, and one slice down the right field line in the corner, bouncing and touched by a fan for the ground rule double. So Henderson is 2 for 3.
And he has swung at the first pitch every time up. Now you would think, and I'm sure, I mean, we're not geniuses up here, that the Dodgers have a scouting report that says first ball hitter. Why give him a good ball to hit on the first pitch?
And now here is the man. Canseco hit by a pitch in the first inning and then killed the ball in the second with the bases loaded. Not to mention what he almost did to our cameraman in center field. And that's about as hard as you can hit a ball.
And this is a complete athlete. He can do it all. He can beat you with the bat, speed, glove, arm.
1 ball and no strikes.
I think the thing that he's done more than anything, he's become patient. He's still a little over aggressive, but not like he used to be. In fact, Boddicker used to call him Jose No Mistako. I mean, now you get 2 strikes, he'll widen it out. He hits a lot of home runs with 2 strikes.
2 balls and no strikes. The count to Jose. Pickoff play to Griffin. Too late.
A lot of hours of work in spring training for that play to work as closely as that.
Big chopper to the hole. Flagged by Griffin, who wisely goes to Sachs, who will run down Henderson. Oh, what a heads-up play.
And he looked like he was going to go to third base, and Henderson with bad base running, he's got to let that ball get through that infield. And what Griffith did, he was no way he was going to get Canseco. Now look, he looks at third like he's expecting to play, and now he goes to second base, and there's Henderson, who really should have bought a ticket because he was just watching the play.
Well, here's the Cobra, as they used to call him always in Pittsburgh. Of course, he played in the '79 World Series, playing under the National League rules with no DH. Luis Polonius sits down, and the big Cobra's in the lineup hitting 4th.
You know, just one other thing I want to point out. It was a great play by Griffin.
Saxey was on top of that play because Saxey could have been deep and just watched it because he figures the ball is going to go through, but he went over to the bag and Griffin had somebody to throw it to. Too many times when you watch a ball game, you look at it and guys turn into spectators. You've seen that, man.
Oh, sure. That was a wonderful play.
It really was.
Little number to the right of the mound. Leary has to pick it up as it dives, and he has trouble finding Stubbs. Throws it down the line, and they're going to call Parker out for running inside the lane. Dave Parker will be out because he did not run in the 40-foot lane. Doug Harvey, the plate umpire, will explain it. I said that Leary was having trouble finding Stubbs, and the reason was Big Parker was running inside the lane, and he is out.
LaRusse is going to go to his legal background to try to get a logical explanation, but Harvey's not having or hearing any of it.
A lot of people who are not aware of the rules wonder what that lane is for, just for this reason. Look at Parker digging now. Watch where his feet are.
Oh, he's way inside. Way inside. In fact, there's no way. Yeah, that's a good call.
And I'll tell you one thing. If you can't find Franklin Stubbs, it's an awfully big runner running inside the line.
Yeah, but look at that handball court running down to first. I mean, that's a big man.
So here's McGuire. Walked, hit into a force play. 0 for 1.
You know, McGuire doesn't get the headlines with Canseco around, but the most home runs the last 2 years, McGuire with 81, Strawberry 78, Canseco 73.
Big Mark McGuire. Little roller up along third, foul, and the count 0-1. McGuire is 6'5" and 225 pounds, so he is really put together. Canseco is 6'3" and 230. Parker is 6'5" and 240.
I think somebody took a composite and Parker, McGuire, Canseco, and Baylor came out to 6'3.5", 225.
Team photo covers your whole wall.
Tag team match is what they are.
0-1 to count to Mark McGuire. 4-2 Oakland in the 4th inning.
Thing I like about McGuire, Vin, he's not home run crazy. He says, I want to get hits to drive in runs. He says, after all, a home run's nothing but a hit that leaves the park. What a way of looking at it.
Which, you know, is another thought about Canseco and what kind of a year he had. Remember, you have a 40 stolen base man at first. Canseco, with his home runs and his stolen bases as he stands at first, he hit 307. You know, everybody's talking about how far he hit the ball, how hard he hit it. He's a 300 hitter.
And he told Lefevre in spring training, he said, I think I can hit 300. And Jimmy said, when he said that to me, I said, he's matured. He's matured as a hitter. He wants to be a complete player.
1-1.
Boy, there's a franchise. That's all you can say. He is a franchise.
2 down in the 4th inning. One thing they say about Canseco is he has a tendency to lean, and they try to hold the ball on him. So if Leary just freezes him, that's what he's trying to do. In other words, he'll throw over there, but if he likes to take a walking lead, does Canseco. In other words, the old story of a body in motion tends to stay in motion. And so the opposition will try and just come set and make him get back down on the heels.
Yeah, but I tell you what, he's got the green light to go. But if he runs with McGuire up there, I think LaRusse will have a talk with him.
1-1, and there he goes. Ball 2, and it's dropped by Socha. Well, didn't he try to steal third with 2 out against Boston?
Well, he's got it on his own because LaRusse has said to him, he said, I'm going to tell you something. You got to run to win ball games, and you better have a high percentage. Now, Socha's got a pretty good ball to handle right here. He just doesn't catch it. He was ready to throw it with the one-hand grab, and he loses it. Canseco, Weiss, they all run on their own. Polonia's another one.
Now they're going to take the bat out of McGuire's hands. They'll put him on.
And that's why I say that when you steal a base, sure, you get another base runner, but you got a guy up here that can sock it, and you got Steinbach coming up. Sure, he's got some pop, but he doesn't have that McGuire pop. I don't think that was a good play to steal right there. I'd want McGuire to swing.
So remember, in the inning, Henderson opened up with a double to right. Canseco hit one to the hole. Alfredo Griffin and Steve Sachs made a good play to get Henderson. Then Parker was out on a number running inside the first base foul line. Now the stolen base and the intentional walk to McGuire. So at least for the moment, Oakland doing a lot of things and nothing has happened. Terry Steinbach flied to center and had an infield single. Steinbach was hit by a thrown ball leaving the batting cage and suffered a fractured orbital bone around his left eye. That's why he's wearing that helmet a la Glenn Hubbard. One ball and no strikes. Leary going to a breaking ball that time. Canseco at second, McGuire at first, 2 out. Leary throws a pitch that you hear a lot about now, a cut fastball.
Cut fastball, backdoor sliders, terms of the 80s.
1-0. And that looked like one, and he missed with it. Ball 2-0.
It's a ball that sails. In my day, it would just be a ball that sailed.
What they claim is you either hold the ball off center or you put more pressure on one finger than the other to make that fastball run in that direction.
Well, it's like a bad slider. Some guys, when I throw a bad slider, as we look at Peranowski, will say, well, if it's a bad slider, it becomes a cut fastball. Also becomes a triple.
2 balls, no strikes. There's the fastball. No fuss about it, and the count 2-1.
The good fastball pitcher throws one of 2 fastballs, the 4-seamer that rises or the 2-seamer that sinks, and he works on control. All the other stuff, I mean, sounds good, and it's good in the explanations, but it gives you a lot of L's in the Sunday paper.
Tim Leary in relief of Tim Belcher. Canseco and McGuire on the lines with 2 out. Late on the fastball, and the count 2-2. 4 runs, half a dozen hit for Oakland. 2 runs, 2 hits for the Dodgers. A home run by Hatcher with a man aboard, and a monstrous grand slam by Jose Canseco in the 2nd inning. Dave Parker hollering a little encouragement.
Well, it's been one of those games for Oakland. They're leading 4-2, but they really should have a pile of runs here, and the Dodgers are hanging tough.
So deuce is wild on Terry Steinbach. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, 2 on. 4-2 Oakland. Fastball still fouled away.
Now you see Socha set up like that, and Leary was able to hit that spot. Sometimes when the catcher moves too soon, he really doesn't know it, and so they have somebody on the bench who'll be watching Socha to see that he doesn't move too much, because at second base, Canseco can give the location, and if you know that ball's going to be away from you, you're going to dive into it with that swing and be able to do something. Not with that last one. That was a 96-mile-an-hour fastball.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Got him. No runs, a hit, 2 left, and it's still 4-2 Oakland.
You're watching Game 1 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports. Legends of the Fall is brought to you by Priority Mail from the U.S. Postal Service.
If I ran the post office, there'd be a way to send paperwork and merchandise overseas that gets attention. Something that says, open me. I'm important. But it's got to save money, real money, and go to all my key markets. Plus, it would have value, be reliable, and fast.
Global Priority Mail. It's happening at your U.S. Postal Service. We deliver.
It takes a little longer to pour a beer as good as Sam Adams. Sam Adams, a better glass of beer.
This is NASCAR 98, talking Rusty Wallace, Sterling Marlin.
9-4.
What do you think?
Come on, these
these guys aren't athletes?
Not athletes. These guys bench press 3,400 pounds. They wear fire suits instead of shoulder pads. So, Mr. Baby on board, next time you redline your minivan at 55, if someone wins and everyone else loses, it's a sport. Any real questions, call 1-888-MY-HOUSE, because I'm dancing with 700 horses down Victory Lane. NASCAR 98, the ultimate judge. EA Sports. It's in the game.
Isn't that a pretty sight?
So how many miles? 50?
90. 90,000 miles. Shoot, that's just getting broke in for a Chevy.
Is that a scratch?
Scratches give character.
The best long-term quality of any full-size pickup belongs to Chevy.
Women like character.
Chevy, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
Whew, what'd you step in?
It's Broadway Joe at the top of his game.
You make a pass and it's all over. The baby pass now and it's
The Joe Namath Show, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. Tune in and turn on, only on Classic Sports.
We now return to Game 1 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
It was Game 4 of the 1969 World Series. J.C. Martin, the pinch hitter for Seaver, got his bunt down. Pete Rickard of Baltimore picked it up. The throw along the line hit the runner, and the winning run scored. That's going back almost 20 years ago. Tonight, we had an argumentative play involving Tony La Russa, Dave Parker on the plate first. And now we move to the bottom of the fourth inning. 1-1 the count to John Shelby, who grounded out in the first inning. Shelby has a lot of trouble with that pitch, off speed and especially away, which is one big reason why he struck out 120 some odd times this year.
Struck out 12 times in the league championship games against the Mets.
Out there, but this time he got a piece of it.
It's the breaking ball out there that gets him.
1-2 to John Shelby. 4-2 Oakland, bottom of the fourth. And Dave Stewart ready to go back to work. Pulled foul.
Tell you, for a first game, we've had plenty.
Wow.
Hit batsmen, home runs, warnings.
There's Brian Holton down in the Dodger bullpen. Lasorda looking ahead. His pitcher would be due up fifth in the inning. One and two. And there it is. They just keep that ball away, and John keeps coming up empty.
But that was a fastball. It was high, and it's a riding fastball. You see it all. I mean, the simple explanation is the high fastball, you see all the ball. The low one, you only see half, but it's out of the strike zone, definitely. He wants it low, Steinbach, but look where it is. I mean, it's high outside, and he just could not reach it.
It's amazing. I wonder, and I'm sure he has studied tapes as to whether his bat can cover the area that he thinks it can cover, because in looking at him all year, why, that's where they pitch him, and that's where he swings, and that's where he misses.
That's the first thing you do when you get in the box and you take those practice swings.
Fly ball to center field. Dave Henderson is there. That'll take care of Mike Socia. 2 out in the fourth inning.
While Hamilton's coming up, I want to talk about that Don Baylor Howell thing. I was talking to Claire Smith at Hartford Corral, who's a good friend of Baylor's. And then I asked Baylor, I said, it's not like him to pop off. I said, you know, yesterday in the workout, Canseco had a few riders around him. McGuire had no riders around him. I really believe that Baylor let out the blast to take the heat off the young players, because wherever Baylor went, everybody followed him. And when I confronted him and said, was that a plan? He said, you don't know me that well. I said, I'm not asking you that. Was it a plan? He said, yes. So it was all calculated. It really was. And when you think about it, that's what leadership is. That's what the old guys do.
Excuse me, but look at Fernando. He's kiddingly, as if he were angry, refusing to give Lasorda the ball. He is really a character. Well, I get the point, though, that Baylor decided to
take the heat off the kids, and that's what he did. And that, to me, is leadership.
0-2 the count to Jeff Hamilton, who grounded to short in the second inning. Dave Stewart roughed up in the first inning, but he has settled down since, allowed just one hit.
On the other side of the coin, Dempsey told Belcher not to get caught up in the hoopla, and Belcher only bought one ticket for the World Series.
Half swing. See you later for Hamilton. The Dodgers tiptoe Toronto out of the fourth inning. It's 4-2 Oakland. We'll be back.
We'll be right back with more of Game 1 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
The grace.
Oh my God, watching him is graceful. Everything he did was easy for him. He was a perfect ball player.
The glamour.
He was a celebrity in the pre-celebrity culture that transcended baseball and sports the way Michael Jordan does today.
The all-American hero.
You're looking for a hero, something to believe in, something to tie us all together in noble, uplifting way. That's what Joe was.
For over a decade, he was baseball's marquee player. The Italian immigrant son who stole the heart of a nation as easily as he rounded the bases, season after season. But did anyone really know him? The great Jilton Joe, the home run hitter, the Hall of Fame center fielder, the man who married Marilyn Monroe. In October, HBO Sports presents Where Have You Gone, Joe DiMaggio? An unflinching look at an American icon who graced the green fields of legend with dignity, with style, with enduring presence. When Joe DiMaggio arrived at Yankee Stadium, he was 21 years old. The great Sultan of SWAT, Babe Ruth, had been gone for 2 years. Lou Gehrig's bat still had punch, but the fans were ready to crown a new power hitter.
DiMaggio's rookie season was almost spectacular. He batted .323, he had 29 home runs, he had 132 RBIs. He was so sophisticated and so mature as a player at that raw baseball age that he astounded his teammates, the management, and of course the fans and the press.
After he fell in love with Marilyn Monroe, life would be forever different.
He wasn't just a ball player who married Marilyn Monroe, an actress, but he was the ball player who married the glamorous actress.
Joe wanted a wife making supper in the kitchen and providing him with children. She was not to be this. She didn't belong to him. She belonged to the world.
Who was the real Joe DiMaggio?
Without a doubt, he's a contradiction. But again, that's part of the mystique of Joe, where people try to figure it out and you won't, because he's a very complex man.
You heard these stories about Joe being unapproachable and being difficult, but he was very kind, very gentle with me.
He lived for baseball.
All-American hero, all-American legend. For those who saw him play, it will always be summer. HBO Sports presents Where Have You Gone, Joe DiMaggio? Premieres Monday, October 20th on HBO.
I love watching classic sports.
Yeah, the fights are awesome. That's what we're talking about. The old Ali and Frazier.
The home run derby is my favorite.
The tennis and
the old-time football games.
I'll tell you right now, I'm hooked on it. Just turn on the classics. It's awesome.
Everybody's talking about it. It's just something you cannot miss at all.
I'm hooked on Classic Sports Network. Watch it every night.
I love classic sports.
The A's failed to score in the top of the fifth inning. In the bottom, pinch hitter Tracy Woodson grounded into a forced play, and the Dodgers also failed to score. Brian Holton relieved Leary in the top of the sixth inning and retired the A's in order. Now let's return to Chavez Ravine for more of Game 1 of the 1988 World Series. The Dodgers at bat in the bottom of the sixth, trailing Oakland 4-2.
Here's Mike Marshall, struck out. And then, and so far, the biggest frustration moment for the Dodgers offensively occurred to Mike in the third inning. In there, split finger. With 2 out, Hatcher walked, and Marshall got a breaking ball and drilled it. But it was hit to Carney Lansford's glove side, and Carney was able to make the play. Fouled away. Another thought, as you look at Dave Stewart on the mound, and as you see Mickey Hatcher pacing up and down in the dugout, Stewart led all Oakland pitchers in complete games. He had 14 complete games while pitching 275 innings. And what that does, every time Stewart pitched, when you think about it, he made a contribution to the bullpen, and the Oakland bullpen set a major league record with 64 saves, and part of it was Dave Stewart. Line to right, base hit. So the crowd here at Dodger Stadium has not had very much to cheer about since the first inning. But Marshall, a one-out single. John Shelby, the batter. The Dodgers' first hit since the second inning, and we're in the bottom of the sixth. Shelby grounded out and struck out.
Took something off, changed the speed, and Shelby was out in front. So when you get in a groove like that, it's really tough. I mean, they change speeds on you, put in good spots, you chase the bad ball, you just don't have any idea.
And there's a ground ball up the middle, base hit. Marshall to second, he will hold there. The ball hit the top of the mound and almost flattened it. And the Dodgers now with runners at first and second and one out. And Mike Scioscia, the batter.
Shelby hits a fastball and right back up the middle. Stewart, his follow-through not very good, and it's a base hit. It was a fastball, a good one in the strike zone, and Shelby really sent it right back up the middle.
So 2 on and 1 out. And Mike Scioscia, the batter, he has popped up and flied to center, and the A's are moving around in the bullpen. Strike on the outside corner. Scioscia hit just less than 260, and he is a man involved in plays. If they play hit and run, it's usually Scioscia because he's a contact hitter. Being a catcher and a veteran, he's liable to hit into a double play. So they usually try to defeat that with some kind of a hit and run play. And he bangs it into left, base hit. Here comes Marshall to score. Stopping at second is Shelby.
And the Dodgers, what they've done is just change their attack as Dave Duncan looks like he's coming up. What they've done, go the opposite field. Marshall hits it to right field. Shelby up the middle, didn't try to pull it, and Scioscia goes the other way.
So the pattern with that split finger, the fork ball, and that low sinking fastball, they are trying to defeat it by going the other way, which is what you do with a sinker ball pitcher anyway. And Greg Cadaret begins to loosen up in the Oakland bullpen. 4-3 Oakland as Marshall gets some low fives in the dugout. And the batter will be Jeff Hamilton. Down in the bullpen, Gene Nelson, the right-hander. So with 1 out, 3 consecutive singles. Marshall the other way, Shelby up the middle, and Scioscia the other way. And here's Hamilton, who is grounded to short and struck out. And remember, it's very hard to walk Hamilton. The runners go, and they fouled away. And that was part of the point, the fact that he's an aggressive hitter, so you might turn the runners loose.
And the other thing to add to that is, after that conference on the mound, Stewart's concentration was on the hitter, and Shelby. And, of course, Scioscia's trailing the play. Shelby's the one who got the big lead, and they were able to put something on and maybe steal a couple bases and quite possibly steal a run.
No balls and 1 strike. 4-3 A's, bottom of the 6th, and Dodger Stadium alive with sound. Almost hit him.
You notice the difference in Stewart when he came set that time, how he took a good look at Shelby. So even though the play that was not executed because of the foul ball, it did put the thought in Stewart's mind, and he did have to change and really bear down on Shelby.
1 ball and 1 strike to Jeff Hamilton. Shelby at second, Scioscia at first, 1 away. And there go the runners, fouled away again. So they put the play on the first pitch, and they figured to come back with it again. And Shelby returns to second, and Scioscia to first.
Tell you, Lasorda's been gambling. He's got to do it with scotch tape and baling wire. You see a hit and run play, one man out, base runners at first and second. He's got to try everything to manufacture a run.
Marshall, who scored the run in the 6th inning, cooling off. 4-3 A's, bottom of the 6th. 2 on, 1 out. Hubbard has been trying to bird dog Shelby and cut down his lead at second. On the hands, crack bat to third. Lansford on the bag for 1, double play. As Hamilton is jammed and hits in the double play.
You're watching Game 1 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
NHL 98 asking who melts ice. Take a shot.
Line 4. Fury, the Rocket Man.
Yeah, he's off the eye chart. Show him the bye-bye stride. Ta-ta, Mr. Autobahn. Line 3.
How about that Zamboni guy, eh? He's pretty good, eh?
No. A. Mike from Sin City.
Beezer is a blur.
Splits, hit splits. Nobody rides for free. Oh, at 10 from the Russian judge. 1-888-MY-HOUSE. Talking who's who of Mach 2 and dropping off D. NHL 98, the ultimate judge. EA Sports. It's in the game.
If I ran the post office, there'd be a way to send paperwork and merchandise overseas that gets attention. Something that says, open me. I'm important. But it's gotta save money. Real money. And go to all my key markets. Plus it would have value. It'd be reliable. And fast.
Global Priority Mail. It's happening at your U.S. Postal Service. We deliver.
Split Rock Lighthouse has long been a symbol of comfort in treacherous waters. The same is true at Split Rock Tavern, offering comfort and refuge in an unreliable world. Relax and unwind at the bar, offering 16 draft beers and a tasty menu. Enjoy a hearty lunch or dinner from Split Rock Tavern's delicious menu, featuring juicy steaks, tender chicken, or fresh seafood. Reserve our private room for intimate parties or special occasions at El Toro and Paseo de Valencia. Come try Split Rock Tavern, your refuge for great dining and good times.
Used cars to be sold as low as $88. That's right, the giant slash and sales event is coming to you at Elmore Toyota. Choose from a huge selection of used cars, trucks, minivans, and sport utility vehicles. Prices slash thousands from original Blue Book. No hassle, just the best price up front before you decide. Be there when the gates open. Get behind the wheel of the car of your choice, and we'll slash the price to the absolute bottom line. The slash and sale is for 3 days only. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, October 17th, 18th, and 19th at Elmore Toyota in Westminster. Be there!
2 study years gone by, you could watch Truman's surprise win over Dewey in 1948. Or check out the surprise win of the Miracle Mets in the 1969 World Series. You could study Nixon's near-perfect sweep in the 1972 election. Or watch total perfection as the 72 Dolphins become the NFL's only undefeated team. If you see history a little differently, watch the Classic Years in Sports, Sunday and Thursday at 7, only on Classic Sports Network.
The A's are looking to increase their 1-run lead in the top of the 7th inning. After Dave Parker drew a leadoff walk, Stan Javier went into pinch run. Mark McGwire now comes to the plate for Oakland.
And here's McGwire. Walked twice, hit into a force play. Strike.
It was Javier, Julian Javier, got that base hit against Lundberg and that one hitter.
And just for the trivia, Stan and Julian, the 10th father-son combination to play in the World Series. 0-1. 4-3 Oakland, 7th inning. It's tough because with Holton, he can't throw that great big slow curveball because then Hosocia will never have a chance to get Javier. You have to catch differently?
You really can't. Not in a ball game like this, 4-3. You got to get that hitter. If you start thinking, I may not throw him out, and McGwire up there give him nothing but fastballs, forget about it. Pitch out may send a message, or keep throwing over there like that. That you know he's over there. It depends. And pitch outs can be a little touchy too. It depends on the reaction of Holton. If nothing happens, now he's behind a big hitter like McGwire.
Interesting to me, maybe we can do it in a minute, is to look at Brian Holton's feet and where his right foot is on the rubber. 0-1. Outside. In other words, my thought, if you watch him, he's standing on the third base side of the pitching rubber, okay? You've got a definite base stealing threat at first, and you just miss by an inch or two and you throw over. Why wouldn't you back off and get more on the first base side of that rubber so that when you turn, you're that much closer to first base?
You are, but you got to be comfortable when you deliver to the batter. You can't base your pitching on the base runner. If you do that, you're going to be in the second division. I mean, logically, I agree with what you're saying. It would work better that way, but he's got to get where he's got to get the hitter out.
1 ball and 1 strike to Mark McGwire. Fastball hit up along first. Holton has to make the play to get him, and on the play, Javier moves to second. Terry Steinbach flied to center, singled, and struck out. Remember, he got that inside fastball, and boy, did he turn on it. Single sharply off Hamilton's glove. Big slow curve line to Hamilton, and that's all. It was hit so hard, Sachs didn't have a chance to get to the bag. And boy, Steinbach has blistered 2 at Hamilton.
Hamilton makes a good play on this. It's a slow curveball, and he is really hit hard. And Hamilton, right there, he's ready to make the play, but it was hit so hard, as you talked about, Vin. Now watch Javier. He knows he's got to get back. Sachs didn't have a chance.
So with 2 down, the fellow who has given the Dodgers trouble, Glenn Hubbard, at the plate. He's 2 for 3, 2 singles to left and grounded to short. Hubbard followed by Walt Weiss, the shortstop. Slow breaking ball. Big rainbow curve. 1 ball, no strike.
Hubbard is a much better fastball hitter. Of course, you can say that about most guys, but if you can get that curveball over, chances are you're going to get him. You get that high fastball, he's going to drill it. They're playing him to pull. There's a lot of room in right center field, which kind of surprises me. If anything, you're playing pretty much straight away.
Well, with Holton's strength breaking balls and Hubbard basically a fastball hitter, let's see if they go strength against weakness or if Holton varies it. Curveball popped in the air, back or first, down the line, coming over is Marshall. That's it. No runs, no hits, a man left at the end of 6.5, 4-3 Oakland.
You're watching the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
If I ran the post office, there'd be a way to send paperwork and merchandise overseas that gets attention. Something that says, open me. I'm important. But it's got to save money. Real money. And go to all my key markets. Plus it would have value, be reliable, be fast.
Global Priority Mail. It's happening at your U.S. Postal Service. We deliver.
NHL 98 asking who melts out. Take a shot.
Line 4. Buret, the Rocket Man.
Yeah, he's off the eye chart. Show him the bye-bye stride. Ta-ta, Mr. Autobahn. Line 3.
How about that Zamboni guy, eh? He's pretty good, eh?
No. A. Mike from Sin City.
B, sir, is a blur.
Split, hit, split. Nobody rides for free. Oh, at 10 from the Russian judge. 1-888-MY-HOUSE. Talking who's who, Mach 2, and dropping off D. NHL 98, the ultimate judge. EA Sports. It's in the game.
Whoa, just a second. You got the wrong guy. Whoa. Oh, boy, you're tall. Can I get you a beer? Oh, it's Sam Adams.
There are times when only a perfect glass of beer will do.
That's a good one, Grim.
Sam Adams, a better glass of beer.
They were one of the greatest teams in football history, a dynasty lasting 9 seasons. Who is this legendary powerhouse?
Hi, I'm Tom Brookshire. And I'm Pat Summerall.
Every Wednesday night, review a classic week of games from the 1960s and 70s as Pat and Tom profile the toughest matchups and key players. Plus,
we'll be showing you all the best pro football action. I'll say no more.
Watch This Week in Pro Football, Wednesday at 10, only on Classic Sports.
Jose Gonzalez pinch hit for Brian Holton and struck out. The Dodgers did not score in the bottom of the 7th inning. In the top of the 8th, Alejandro Pena became LA's 4th pitcher of the game. He retired the A's in order. We take you to the bottom of the 8th in Chavez Ravine as the Oakland A's lead the Los Angeles Dodgers 4-3.
Here's Mickey Hatcher, bottom of the 8th inning, a strike. 0-1. Hatcher hitting in Kirk Gibson's spot, hit a 2-run home run, walked and flied to center. 1 ball, 1 strike. Dave Stewart has allowed 3 runs, 6 hits. Walked 2, struck out 4. Fouled away, 1-2. We mentioned Gibson. If you were in the ballpark with binoculars, your first thought would be late in the game, is Gibson in the Dodger dugout? And the answer would appear to be no. Got him on the inside corner. As you look, you see Fernando Valenzuela, and you're looking for Kirk Gibson. And there is no Gibson. The man who was the spearhead of the Dodger offense throughout the year, who saved them in the league championship series, will not see any action tonight for sure. He is not even in the dugout.
That was kind of news. Hatcher getting called out on strikes, because if he's going to go down, he's going to go down swinging, but he was caught looking that time.
Mike Marshall a strike. Marshall struck out, lined out, and singled, and I would think he has 20 home runs, and he has the power to do it in a 1-run game. In the 8th inning and 1 out, he's going to try and take Stewart deep if he can.
He's going to try it. He's got it on his mind, take a big free swing at least once. You can see him kind of crank. When you talk to Mike, he says, look, when I'm up there, I roll the dice. If the pitch is thrown, I think I should swing, I'm going to swing. That's why you see him chase a lot of bad balls.
1 ball and 1 strike. And he lifts one back of first. Glenn Hubbard is there, puts it away. 2 down in the 8th inning. So Dave Stewart is not an overpowering 20-game winner, but Tony Caruso can write it in his book, as can Dave Duncan. He's getting the job done. And with 2 out in the 8th inning, John Shelby, the batter, grounded out, struck out, and singled. Wouldn't chase that fastball away. Ball 1. Boy, that pitch really runs him up a wall. So they give him another one on the corner.
Hit that one fastball a little bit more inside. He hit it right back up the middle for the base hit.
Most of his power from this side of the plate, and he was out in front of that. 1-2.
Now we'll see, Vin. Is he going to throw that hard split finger, or just throw that high fastball out of the zone and see if he chases it? He's got a choice.
So Shelby's still there with 2 out in the 8th. 4-3 Oakland. Game 1. The Dodgers, in their Los Angeles history, have never won a first game at Dodger Stadium. They're 0-6. Chopper up along first, foul. Oakland, meanwhile, playing away, has won 5 out of 6. 2-2 to John Shelby.
Stewart in 7 innings made 100 pitches. This has not been an extra long inning, but he's made a lot of pitches.
And that's hit to right. Canseco hesitated, slides, and caught it. Oh, what a play.
It was a sinker, and he misjudged it.
So he didn't get a jump at all, and he still made the play.
So the A's were up by 1 now and 3 outs away from victory, and the best reliever in the game, Dennis Eckersley, was coming in to pitch the 9th. And when he's coming in, you got to feel pretty good.
Well, definitely. He became one of the game's best relievers. He at one time was a starter, and I had the chance of facing him when he was with the Chicago Cubs. Now, here was a guy that, as a starter, great competitor, but he was even more so a competitor as a reliever. Really, the Oakland A's were sitting in the driver's seat with him on the mound.
What'd you consider his best pitch?
Probably a slider, and he was very deceptive on right-handed hitters.
And late in the game, would you go up there looking for the slider?
Well, you have to a little bit, but you don't want to forget about that fastball that can run in on you as well.
So he had 2 out pitches, you're telling me?
Yeah, and that he would use them very, very much, and he had good control with it. He was a guy that didn't walk very many guys, but yet he walked Mike Davis in that 9th inning, who then ultimately stole second base, and that kind of set up the situation, him facing Kirk Gibson.
If you're the manager in Eckersley, walk somebody to start off the 9th inning, are you worried?
A little bit, but I would say a little bit more worried to keep that runner close at first base. And it turns out that Mike Davis stole the base, and so now he's in scoring position for Gibson, who was a gimpy Gibson coming up there to the plate, and he was just hoping to do something, and boy, it happened in a dramatic way.
When you were watching that game, were you thinking now first base is open with Davis stealing? Should they walk Gibson?
Not walk him, because you don't want to put the winning run on first base, but be very cautious in pitching to Kirk Gibson, because one swing of the bat, game could be over.
Well, you would be one of those managers that would walk out and say to the pitcher, don't give him anything good to hit, but don't walk him. Is that it?
Exactly, exactly.
Well, the A's did not score in the top of the 9th, and as we go into the bottom of the 9th, Eckersley looked to close out Game 1. But as you're about to see, the Dodgers have something up their sleeve, or better yet, in their dugout. When we come back, Kirk Gibson, Dick Schapp, and the grand finale.
Legends of the Fall is brought to you by Priority Mail from the U.S. Postal Service.
If I ran the post office, there'd be a way to send paperwork and merchandise overseas that gets attention. Something that says, open me. I'm important. But it's gotta save money. Real money. And go to all my key markets. Plus it would have value, be reliable, and fast.
Global Priority Mail. It's happening at your U.S. Postal Service. We deliver.
NHL 98 asking who melts ice. Take a shot.
Line 4. Buret, the Rocket Man.
Yeah, he's off the eye chart. Show him the bye-bye stride. Ta-ta, Mr. Autobahn. Line 3.
How about that Zamboni guy, eh? He's pretty good, eh?
No. Hey, Mike from Sin City.
B-Serve is a blur.
Splits, hits, splits. Nobody rides for free. Oh, at 10 from the Russian judge. 1-888 My House. Talking who's who of Mach 2 and dropping off heat. NHL 98, the ultimate judge. EA Sports. It's in the game.
What goes on inside the brain of a pitcher like John Smoltz? How does he tune out 50,000 screaming fanatics? How does he stay focused with a runner on first who does the 40 and 4-4 and a 342 hitter at the plate? You see, all Smoltz thinks about is this imaginary tunnel with a 2-inch leather target at the end. And there's only one sound that can break his concentration.
Strike 3!
Welcome once more to Victory Yard and to the first game of the 1988 World Series. The score is 4-3 going into the 9th inning. You're in the locker room, and Vin Scully has just said, you're not even going to pinch hit, you're not going to play. Why didn't you just get dressed and go home?
I said my butt went and got dressed with a baseball uniform, and as I had envisioned it all game, it was unfolding just as I had dreamed about.
And up until then, you hadn't put the uniform on?
No, I was sitting in a pair of Dodger blue shorts and a pair of shower shoes and just sitting there watching the game.
Wow. Now we go back to the game. Alejandro Pena yielded only an infield single, and the A's did not score in the top of the 9th inning. Now we go to the bottom of the 9th and one of the World Series greatest moments, courtesy of our guest, Kirk Gibson.
We go to the bottom of the 9th inning here at Dodger Stadium in Game 1. The A's, riding the wings of a grand slam home run by Jose Canseco, now make 2 changes. Ron Hasse behind the plate, and on the mound, the MVP in the league championship series, Dennis Eckersley. 45 saves. That really jumps out at you. And during the course of the year, he saved 8 games for Dave Stewart. And Mike Scioscia will start it off. Ball 1.
Vinny's had 8 saves that were less than an inning. 21 saves were just 1 inning. 8 saves were an inning or inning and 2/3, and an 8th save 2 innings. That's as much as he goes.
Popped up around the bag at second. It'll be Walt Weiss. 1 down. So Eckersley with 45 saves is not a hard worker. In fact, only 15 of those 45 saves did he work more than 1 inning. 1 out in the 9th. And young Jeff Hamilton coming up. It is Hamilton who had the closest shot tonight to get the Dodgers into the game. With 1 out in the 6th inning, the Dodgers had consecutive singles by Marshall, Shelby, and Socia for a run. And with runners at first and second and 1 out, Hamilton hit into a double play. He fouled it away. He broke his bat in doing it. And the Dodgers really have not been heard from since.
Eckersley sidearms you, and he'll make you give ground, and he really hits that outside corner. He will come inside, but he really likes that strike on the outside corner. And there's Gibson.
0-1. In there. Seeing him with a helmet on, you have a former Oakland A's out on deck, Mike Davis. Well, we'll see what all that means. I doubt if he'd be up there to hit for Davis. I think that it'll be up to Davis to extend the inning to allow Gibson one last shot. 0-2. Sidearm, mean, strike 3 call. That came from around the corner.
That's what he does. He sidearms you, makes you give, and lives on that outside corner. And then if you get too close, he'll push you back, but he doesn't like to throw that many inside strikes.
So Mike Davis will come up now, one former Oakland A, to hit for another, Alfredo Griffin. 2 out, 9th inning. Oakland 4, Dodgers 3, and here is Mike Davis. Davis, like Alfredo Griffin, had a very, very difficult time adjusting over in the National League. He hit less than 200. And with that swing of his, they expected him to manufacture some home runs, and he had only 2. Time, no pitch. When Davis played at Oakland, he hit 22 home runs, 19 home runs, 24 home runs, but only 2 in the National League.
Boy, Eckersley really comes at you. He throws nothing but strikes. He challenges everybody.
Fouled away, off the left and out of play. 0-1. By the way, Gibson is not on deck. Dave Anderson is. A footnote to that, you see 7 out of 10. Only the 87 Twins, the 84 Tigers, and the 80 Phillies have won Game 1 in the series. No balls, 1 strike. Wouldn't chase it. 1-1.
He's not going to give him a ball to pull. It'll be a mistake if it gets inside, because you can see where Hasse is setting up.
Hitters have a great tendency in the American League to chase a bad slider that he throws, but that's off the plate. Fastball, ball 2, 2-1.
Sometimes too, Ben, when he comes, as we look at Gibson again, when he comes that way, he kind of drops that arm and he's kind of pitching uphill, so it'll rise on you.
He's thrown that ball out there 3 consecutive times, and each time Davis refused to nibble. So the Dodgers are down to their last out. 3 balls and 1 strike to Mike Davis. Bottom of the 9th. A's 4, Dodgers 3.
If he gets on, we're going to hear some roar.
3-1. And he walked him. And look who's coming up. The demands until he was physically unable to start tonight with 2 bad legs, the bad left hamstring and the swollen right knee. And with 2 out, you talk about a roll of the dice. This is it. If he hits the ball on the ground, I would imagine he would be running 50% to first base. So the Dodgers trying to catch lightning right now. Fouled away. He was, complaining about the fact that with the left knee bothering him, he can't push off. Well, now he can't push off. He can't land.
He's going to use all arms. Look at his crowd on its feet. What a tribute.
4-3 A's. 2 out, 9th inning. Not a bad opening act. Mike Davis, by the way, has stolen 7 out of 10. If you're wondering about sort of throwing the dice again.
And he's down an outside corner. He's not going to give him a ball to pull. With Davis, he just missed. But here's 2 quick strikes, both fastballs that kind of tail away the outside part. Hasse is not even flirted with the inside part of that play.
You saw Dave Duncan gesturing. He was gesturing to Carney Lansford at third. 0-2 to Gibson. The infield is back with 2 out and Davis at first. Now Gibson during the year, not necessarily in this spot, but he was a threat to bunt. No way tonight, no wheels.
They're plenty deep in the outfield, and they're playing him straight away in center field. Look at it, right down the line. He's a threat now with 2 strikes.
No balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Little nubber, foul. And it had to be an effort to run that far. Gibson was so banged up, he was not introduced. He did not come out onto the field before the game.
You can really see the limp. He's not driving that ball. It was by him. See, he almost has to talk to his legs and say, hey, let's go. We got to get out of here.
It's one thing to favor one leg, but you can't favor 2.
No way, and that's what he's trying to do. He really is.
0-2 to Gibson. And a throw down to first. Davis just hit back. Good play by Ron Hasse using Gibson as a screen. He took a shot at the runner, and Mike Davis didn't see it for that split second, and that made it close.
A lot of times what you do, you'll give a sign to the first baseman, say, now be there. They call it not be there play. If I get the ball, I'm going to throw it. 14 fastballs in a row. That's all he's been throwing.
There goes Davis, and it's fouled away. So Mike Davis, who had stolen 7 out of 10 and carrying the tying run, was on the move.
They wanted to give Gibson a good shot at it with 2 strikes, but with the 2 strikes, Davis a threat, as we said, because the Blue Pill scored that big run.
Gibson shaking his left leg, making it quiver like a horse, trying to get rid of a troublesome fly. 2-2. Mike Scioscia can only sit now and sweat it out. He led off the inning and popped up. Tony La Russa is 1 out away from win number 1.
Here's the big pitch. He's got to make it happen on this one.
2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 out.
Those extra steps that Davis will get if the count goes to 3-2 are very big. So Hasse and Eckersley want that pitch of decision right here.
There he goes. Way outside. He's stolen it.
Hasse started throwing, kind of bumped Gibson, but it was way too late. Davis was way down there, almost as if he could have walked in. Not a bad pitch to handle for Hasse outside. Now watch when he starts to throw. Look at Gibson. And Harvey says, no, he had the base stolen.
So Mike Davis, the tying run, is at second base with 2 out. Now the Dodgers don't need the muscle of Gibson as much as a base hit. And on deck is the leadoff man, Steve Sachs. 3-2. Sachs waiting on deck. But the game right now is at the plate. High fly ball into right field. She is gone! In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
Coming up next, Kirk Gibson on his educated guess.
Eckersley started up in his motion, and I called timeout, and I said to myself, partner, as sure as you're standing here, you're going to see that three-back slider.
You're watching Game 1 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
NHL 98 asking who melts ice. Take a shot.
Line 4. Yay, the Rocket Man.
Yeah, he's off the eye chart. Show him the bye-bye stride. Ta-ta, Mr. Autobahn, line 3.
How about that Zamboni guy, eh? He's pretty good, eh?
No. Hey, Mike from Sin City.
Beezer is a blur.
Split, hit, flips. Nobody rides for free. Oh, at 10 from the Russian judge. 1-888 My House. Talking who's who of Mach 2. A drop off D. NHL 98. The ultimate judge. EA Sports. It's in the game.
Out of the shadows come 3 incredible motorcycles. Each one takes the look of a custom to a beautiful new place. The Honda Shadow Spear 1100, the Shadow Ace Tourer, and the Shadow American Classic Edition. It's always cooler in the shadows.
$110 a month, 0 down payment. Honda Sports Center, Lake Forest.
The NASCAR Ride-Along program puts you in the action.
Oh, this is great.
What?
I said this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pepper really seems to be enjoying himself today.
He might want to get his head back in the weather.
Think so?
Yeah. NASCAR on ESPN.
Come on, pass that guy. Pass that guy.
Okay.
Brought to you by California Speedway. Racing's future starts here.
Used cars to be sold as low as $88. That's right, the giant slash and sales event is coming to you at Elmore Toyota. Choose from a huge selection of used cars, trucks, minivans, and sport utility vehicles. Prices slash thousands from original Blue Book. No hassle, just the best price up front before you decide. Be there when the gates open. Get behind the wheel of the car of your choice, and we'll slash the price to the absolute bottom line. The slash and sale is for 3 days only. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, October 17th, 18th, and 19th at Elmore Toyota in Westminster. Be there!
Is cocaine crack or is crack cocaine?
You were going to talk to her?
You were going to talk to her.
I think it's time that we had a little talk. We'll talk about it later.
No, it's time. It's important.
If you had any questions you wanted to ask me, honey, you would ask your father, wouldn't you? Right.
I'm just going to tell my kid that if he ever tries it, I'll kill him. All right?
That's sensitive, Al.
If you need help talking to your kids about drugs, call for this free book.
I love watching classic sports.
Yeah, the fights are awesome.
That's what we're talking about. The old Ali and Frazier.
The home run derby is my favorite.
The tennis and
The old-time football games.
I'll tell you right now, I'm hooked on it. Just turn on the classics. It's awesome.
Everybody's talking about it. It's just something you cannot miss at all.
I'm hooked on Classic Sports Network. Watch it every night.
I love classic sports.
We now return to Game 1 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
Welcoming into Victory Yard into pandemonium in Los Angeles. This was voted the greatest moment in Los Angeles sports history. Now, let's go back over that at bat. It's 3-2. You're at the plate. What's going through your mind?
Well, what I'm doing is we had a scouting report by Mel Didier, our chief scout, that said that if we got to a 3-2 count, that Dennis Eckersley would throw a 3-2 backdoor slider. He'd frozen George Brett with it. He'd frozen Wade Boggs with it. And Eckersley started up in his motion. And I called timeout, and I said to myself, partner, as sure as you're standing here breathing, you're going to see that 3-2 backdoor slider. So I was just visualizing, kind of put all my eggs in one basket, took my scouting report, and then I stepped back in. The rest is history.
What happens if he doesn't throw the 3-2?
Hopefully I can foul it off. But what happens is, see, Dennis throws so many fastballs. He's basically a fastball spot pitcher. He in and out you, ups and downs you. And what he's thinking is, if he gets you to 3-2, you're looking for another fastball. And if you look, that ball is outside off the plate. And if you give up on that pitch, it's strike 3 because it breaks over the outside corner. And I happen to be waiting for it.
Now, obviously you're limping as you go around there. Feeling much pain?
No pain at all there. I mean, that's all glory, and that's all the reward for all the people who have stuck behind me my whole career. And I'd always ask them to keep their mouth shut and let me do my talking on the field. And that's what it's all about right there.
How can you describe that feeling as you reached home plate?
It's hard to describe it, but it's just one of coming through when it counts. Bottom of the 9th inning, what more can you ask for is to come through for your team in a situation like that. And that's how I saw myself. That's who I wanted to be. And that's the reward I got for forcing myself to go up there.
Was there any temptation to say, end it here? It can't get any better than this.
Oh, I didn't have that power. I'm not the commissioner of baseball, I guess. But, I mean, what I said was, hey, boys, I got you pointed in the right direction. Now, please bring that trophy to me. Right. And they did it.
Well, I didn't mean to end the World Series, but I mean, you didn't come to bat again that World Series. You didn't have to come to bat again that World Series. The momentum did carry through. But, you know, you went through a lot of physical pain over the next couple of years in baseball.
Well, I did. It took me really 4 years after that. I ended up having surgery the following year on that leg, and it was a major surgery. And then, you know, it took me 3-4 years after that to where I really got back to where I was 100%. But it was all worth it to me. I sold out. You know, I was going for the championship trophy, and I made that decision to do so. And I had to be accountable for the 3 years that I had to take off after that, basically, to get 100%.
How many times a day or a week or a month do people say they were there, they watched it, they remember every second?
Many. And they said, you ever get tired of it? How can I get tired of it? I'm an old, retired, washed-up Major League Baseball player now. And, you know, you love to relive your glory.
Well, you keep watching Classic Sports Network, and you'll get to see a lot of
You keep showing it, and I'll watch it.
Thanks for sharing the glory with us. Now we'll take a break, and then Classic Sports resumes.
Coming up next on the Ultimate World Series, Willie Mays gets the final hit of his career in a dramatic Game 2 from the '73 series. It's the Mets versus the A's right after this. This World Series memory is brought to you by Where Have You Gone, Joe DiMaggio on HBO Monday, October 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific.
Now the 2-2. Well hit down the left field line. Way back and gone! Joe Carter with a 3-run homer. The winners and still world champions, the Toronto Blue Jays.
In a World Series like that, knowing with 20, 30 million people watching that you came through and hit a home run in the World Series, it was the greatest moment I'll ever have in baseball.
The grace.
Oh my God, watching him was graceful. Everything he did was easy for him.
The glamour.
There was a matinee idol quality to him that you usually associate with the film business.
The all-American hero.
You're looking for a hero, something to believe in. That's what Joe was.
From reluctant star to reclusive legend.
He lived for baseball.
For those who saw him play, it will always be summer. Where Have You Gone, Joe DiMaggio? Premieres Monday, October 20th on HBO.
Classic Sports Network.
the greatest new network in the history of sports.